starting out in the biblical lineage is you have Adam, and then you have Khan, which means to possess, or the origin of the word Cain or Khan, the origin of the word gain, to possess. That's the firstborn of Adam, who kills, as we know, he kills Abel, and then he travels to the east, toward from Eden, which is in the Mesopotamian area, to the east, which would be Central Asia and the Himalayan area, the area of the Himalayas. So we have a location where the Khan and the descendants of Khan went to, all the way down to Tubal Khan. But we start with Khan, and then his son Huanggu, or that would probably be more of the original pronunciation, Wanak or Enoch, or Huanak, or Huanggu, which is actually the name of the Huanggu Pass in China. That is actually a city that was a very ancient city in China, an area in China called Huanggu, which leads into the Himalayas, into the region of the Himalayas. So that's likely the area where Khan would have settled. That's also where some of the earliest cities are in the world. Cain, Huanggu, Irad, and then you have Makuyel, or Mikael, Mikuyael, Methusael, and then Lamech. This is where these ancestors, the descendants of Khan, went on to take over the world and rule the world for a period of time. And we're talking ages before Seth was born, in the ancient past. And that's what the Bible seems to be alluding to, is in a sense, maybe a time before time, before the modern world even existed. You had these ruling lineages that, were from the Khan, the original ancestor Khan. So here this would be the origin of Greek, Norse, and all kinds of other mythologies throughout the world. Sumerian. The Sumerians was Anu and Ki, his wife Ki, Anu and Ki, and they had the Anunnaki. Or this is also Uranus and Gia, or Gi, who had the children, the Titans, or the Gigantes. So you're talking about the exact same people. This would be Chronos, and this would be Zeus. The Anunnaki also have very similar mythologies and legends and gods that are very similar to the Norse and Greek pantheon. From among so these would be the Anunnaki here, and then ultimately giving birth to Lamech and Zeus. This would also be in Khan. In the actual Khan mythology, they have a pantheon of gods, and one is called Od, and his son is called Tengri. Tengri is the god of the hammer, and the god of lightning. Similar, Zeus or Jupiter also carries a hammer, so this would be the same as Lamech. And Zeus gives birth to Apollo, or Upal, who plays the flute and the lyre. So Apollo and Upalo and Yapalo are actually Hermes and Apollo, the Greek gods. And then Vulcan, his son Vulcan, or he has a son named Bailgan. Tengri has a son called Bailgan. And in Norse mythology, this would be, no doubt, be Odin and Thor. Thor is famous, and Thor and Zeus are probably the most famous within this pantheon, known as the kind of king of the gods, and taking over the universe and taking over the world. So this is all referring to the ancient world before Seth. All of this took place before Seth was ever even born. So the story is coming down to us through the ages of the past, and throughout the mythology, you find that the gods lived for infinite amounts of time. They lived longer than mortals. They had these. They referred to time in different ways. They had different ways of looking at time. So it could be that these descendants of Cain lived much longer lifespans and perhaps lived for thousands or tens of thousands of years. We even have that Adam lived for 1,000 years, and some of his descendants lived for 500 and 800 years. So it could be that some of these races somehow were able to live for extended amounts of time, which would be in line with the mythologies of the Near East and the Mediterranean. It says that Odin ruled during the Golden Age. And all war was stopped, all conflict, all murder, all lying was stopped. It talks about the Asar ruling for a long period of time during this golden age, and everything was at peace and good, and everything was sort of contained and controlled, and then something happens. A war happens between the different classes and groups of gods, called the Anunaki or Ragnarok, or there's many different names for it, but this was perhaps a multiple events over time. Perhaps it refers to all war or multiple wars over time that took place. And Odin then leaves Asgard. At some point, Odin leaves Asgard and becomes a philosopher. And he goes through the 9 worlds at that time, passing through the 9 worlds, or all the different realms of the earth. And he sort of interacts with people during this time, trying to find the source, trying to find that there was this coming lineage, through the lineage of Seth. I believe this is referring to the search for this mortal, the new Adam, if you will, the mortal man, Jesus. I believe that this is referring to the coming of Jesus. That seems to be the case. The missing piece, or the missing stone. It even talks about that Asgard had its missing stone. There was a stone. Asgard never got fully built before Ragnarok. It had a missing. There was a missing piece of the stone. Of the caps, there was the missing capstone, that missing pinnacle, that missing piece, that stone that tied everything together. And Odin didn't have the answer. Odin wasn't the supreme god. He knew he wasn't the creator of all. So he's in search of this. He's in search of this answer, this quest, this philosophical quest for truth, for absolute truth, for the original self, the original being, the final answer, the solution, the yes to every question, the mystery of all ages, right? As Jesus is described as the mystery of all ages, the philosopher's stone. Not a physical stone that completes a building, but something that completes the whole universe, that completes the whole picture of everything, that fills everything up. That's at the origin of all things, and then therefore fills everything up. And to me, this is none other than, this is Jesus. This is the entire answer is Jesus. You know, he is the mystery of all the ages. He's the mystery of mysteries. He is this is the solution. The Lamb on the throne, the Lamb coming to the throne, the mortal becoming one with God. You know, becoming fully one with God through the cross, through the crucifixion.